So were there any particular unique experiences you had growing up as an interracial kid? Did you ever fit in? Did you ever struggle to find an identity for yourself? I mean, am I white? Am I black? Am I Arabic? Am I what? And all that.
No, not at all. I think my parents did a great job at raising my brother and I in a way where the color of our skin or our race or our cultural background, isn't of importance. It's a part of who you are, but it shouldn't be the main point, the main center of your identity. I've always was around an extreme diverse group of people, whether it was friends, family, neighborhood, school. So my racial identity was never, a thing for me. However, as I grew up being a teenager and, seeing on social media this whole thing around race kind of growing and stuff, I tried having a racial identity crisis, because I thought it's what people were supposed to be doing. I saw other people doing it, so I thought maybe I should as well. But, as I matured in my way of thinking, I quickly realized that, the way I was raised to begin with was what I was supposed to remember and embody now as a young adult, I guess.
Interesting. So you grew up in an environment where you weren't race conscious. Race wasn't an issue. It wasn't focal. It wasn't even brought up. But as you began to interact socially with other people, you began to see that this thing mattered in the world, and people were almost requiring of you to pick a side,
mm-hmm.
and so much were pressured to pick a side.
Yes.
Which side did you tilt more towards picking?
The black side. I think there was a certain coolness.
No. Wait. The black side. Haven't you heard of white privilege? I mean, why would you leave white privilege and go for the black side?
Well, because like I said, there was a certain coolness attached to it. There's the type of music, there's the fashion, there's the lingo. Everybody was emulating that. And so naturally, the idea was to lean towards that, lean into the coolness attached to, a black identity. And so I dabbled in that for a bit. And then quickly realized that I didn't fit. It wasn't me. It wasn't how I was raised. I knew I was, how can I say, exposed to it, because obviously it's part of my heritage, but it wasn't all of who I was. So I kind of shifted back to the center I was in to begin with.
So what were your experiences dabbling in the dark side? I mean, well, not the dark side. I mean, taking on the more and more black identity, did you have to change the way you spoke? Did you have to change the way you dressed, the kind of music you liked, or how was it? How was that?
Well,
how was that journey?
Yeah, I was always, the way I dressed and the music I listened to was always, around centered around Black culture to begin with, is something I naturally gravitated towards. So that was nothing I had to change. Maybe the way I spoke, for sure, the way I talked about things, the way I thought of things. But the way I was being received wasn't very welcoming. And it wasn't because of, I don't want to fall into the colorist or futurist or texturist arguments. It wasn't for that. But I think, when you're trying to force something too much, people feel it and are reluctant to engage with you in that way. So I think I was maybe forcing too much, which was making maybe people uneasy about me trying to make so much of a point about me being Black, right? And so there were some adjustments to be made, with myself, and realizing that who I was to begin with, there was nothing wrong, and I didn't need to pick a side because I was both of them all the time, always. I didn't have to make a point of playing one up and, diminishing the other, or vice versa.